Good morning, guys. It is really early. It is a little after 6 a.m. and the streets of Bangkok behind me are coming to life slowly, and so am I. I just arrived yesterday, so I am still a bit jet lagged and also just tired overall. But today is a really big day. Today I am going on an excursion to see the most bizarre markets around Bangkok. The floating markets and a train market, and also some inside of the city. So I'm gonna take you guys along and show you these very strange and really fascinating markets. And let's see what strange things they have on the market. I'm actually a bit scared of what I'm gonna see, but also very intrigued. This excursion was kindly gifted to me by Thailand Inside Travel. There is a 7-Eleven right across the street from the hostel. I'm staying at Bat Station Hostel near Khao San Road. I went off to explore Khao San Road yesterday, and already so much happened in the first 5 hours that I was in Bangkok. So I got a much needed coffee and a big bottle of water. I was picked up at my hostel and we made our way to our first stop. Along the way, our guide gave us some explanations and we saw many beautiful temples. We have made it to the first stop, and the first stop is this salt mine. The water from the ocean is about 4 kilometers away, and they let this area flood, and then the water evaporates and they are left with the salt that they are farming here. In 5 minutes we will get on board of the train to go to the train market, and this is something that I'm very excited about. Most tourists that visit the train market don't get on the actual train. Instead they go to the market to see the train arrive. I loved this train ride. The scenery was so lovely with more salt flats, green mangroves, and lots of wading birds. It was super relaxing and it felt like the adventure had finally begun. The Mae Klong train station is very busy before and when the train arrives. Jason, our lovely tour guide for today. He has been explaining us about the places we are seeing, and thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Jason. Yeah.
Now we've made it to the train station. Once people got their picture with the train and left, it was nice to walk around the narrow market with less people. It took me some time to realize that the path we are walking on in the market is actually the train tracks. As you can see, the stalls are super close to the tracks, and each time the train comes, they need to fold in the screens that you can see here, and sometimes even take their produce closer to the stall itself, because the train literally passes through the market. And this is so cool. I am loving every single second of this day already, and it's not even 9 a.m. This is so bizarre. They have living catfish here, and they chop them up whilst they're still alive. They weigh them and then they just start chopping them up. I was a tiny bit disappointed that we didn't get to see the train actually go through the market as well, but it's either one or the other, since there's only 7 trains a day. So we would have had to wait a long time to see it pass through the market as well. And I mean, if I had to choose, I would want to be on the train, because that journey on the train was So beautiful. As you could see, there was barely anyone on the train. Everyone was just looking at the train passing through the market. And it's very special to be the person on the train looking at everyone down there. And still we got to experience the market as well once we got off the train. So it was the best of both worlds. Then it was time to get back in the van and check out another regional product, coconuts. At the coconut plantation, our guide explained how each part of the coconut tree is used, from the flower to the leaves. We are now at a coconut farm and we are seeing how they are picked and also how they are processed, and it's super fascinating. So after boiling the coconut water, this sugar is left and it is still warm when they are giving it us to taste. I also just killed a mosquito in front of a former Buddhist monk, and one of the 5 rules of Buddhism is that you don't kill any animals. But before that, I just saw a living fish being cut up into pieces, so I think what I did wasn't too bad after all. It was also really cool to drive through the coconut plantations, and the coconut trees are so tall. Our guide told us that in the south of Thailand they even train monkeys to get the coconuts down because they are a lot faster than people to climb all the way up. Obviously you also get the chance to buy some of the products that they make with the coconut, and we got to try the coconut chips that were really sweet but really delicious. Whilst on the road I've been seeing these little shrines or altars, and it seems like every single house that I guess is Buddhist has one of those. Aside from the coconut trees, we've also seen a tamarind tree, a dragon fruit tree, banana trees, and even papaya trees. So it's not just the coconut trees that you get to see around here. We got back in the van for another special market, the Damnon Saduak floating market. First, we got on a longtail boat and explored the floating village. It was cool to see how people lived in these houses on stilts. After seeing the village and some of its inhabitants, we arrived at the market. Along the river, locals are selling their products from their boats. You can buy anything from souvenirs to fresh fruit, and even meals are prepared on fires on the boats. We have just been to a floating market, and this is one of the famous floating markets here near Bangkok. And we went on a boat ride and it had a giant motor and the exhaust fumes were just suffocating. There were some that were manually driven or steered, which I do prefer, but obviously the motor also means that you do a bigger tour and that you see more of the stilt houses, etc. It is nice to see how everything goes. I kind of expected it to be a bit more traditional still, since it's one of the most famous ones, but it is a very big souvenir market, obviously, because they know the tourists come here and they also need some money. And I would suggest you to support the local businesses, but do it in a good way, like buy some of the fruit or buy some of the souvenirs, but don't interact with the animal abuse. We've seen some snakes, and if you know me, you'll know how I feel about snakes. I have an extreme phobia of them, but still that doesn't mean that I condone them being used for pictures for tourists. Anyway, I would urge you to be mindful about the way that you participate in animal tourism, But other than that, obviously it's not included in the tour. It is something that is always there, and you can't really outrun it, or yeah. When we got off at a different stop than where we got on, I thought I dodged the bullet and I wouldn't have to pass by the snake again, but then there was another one at this point. I don't know how I managed to keep my cool, but I did, luckily. And now some people are having food now at the market, and I think then we will make our way back to the city. Just like me, lots of people were buying food and eating it on the stoop. I just got some mango and sticky rice, and the mango was super ripe. It is a bit strange to have it with rice. The rice was a bit more savory than I expected, and the coconut cream that they put on top didn't really taste that much, but it was definitely a really nice and cheap lunch. We then made our way back to the city, and I still had the rest of the day to explore. That was it for the tour to the markets. Some markets that I still want to visit inside of the city are the flower market and the weekend market. So those are still on the schedule. I really loved the excursion. Since it's located outside of the city center, it is more difficult to access, which is why I chose to go with a tour, and they were the first tour company that I wanted to use, and I was very happy that they gifted me the excursion. The vehicle was really nice and comfortable. Also, the guide was very good. We could understand him very well. His English was great, and his explanations as well. He really knew what he was talking about. He also took lots of pictures of us. So if you want to visit these places as well, then I definitely recommend you to go with Thailand Inside Travel. At about 2:45, I made it back to my hostel, and the street that I was waiting in this morning has completely transformed into some kind of market. The Pak Klong Talat flower market is across the water from Temple Wat Arun. I wandered the streets here for a bit and first stumbled across some other markets. Before arriving at the flower market, it was already after 5 p.m. and I honestly thought that there wouldn't be much left at that hour. But it was still full, and this is probably the only market I wish you could smell. It was so colorful and people were creating fresh flower decorations by hand. I then made my way back to the hostel following Google Maps, which always leads me through special places, like streets full of giant religious statues and temples a tourist wouldn't know of. I hope you liked this video, guys. If you did, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to follow me on my adventures through Southeast Asia. As you can see, I am in a more tropical destination at the moment, and I hope to see you in the next and in those videos. Bye!